You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I've got a very, very special guest in the house. I've known Jordan a long time, way back in the Alvaro days. Was my server back in the day, and Northport High School also. So I've got Jordan Wong on the phone, or on his phone, but live on the radio and on WKDW.com. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We've got it all going, Jordan. We've got everything going on for you, buddy. So give a quick intro and let people know who you are and what you're about.
My name is Jordan Wong. I currently own Showcase Strength and Fitness. It's a new gym in Northport. This weekend, we're putting on a big powerlifting event. I rented out CrossFit Warpath in Port Charlotte. It's a very big space. We were here last year. The second annual event that we've done in June is called the Showcase Super Classic. So by nature, today's Showcase Super Classic 2, or tomorrow. It's a 2-day event. Lifting starts at 9 and pretty much goes on all day. We'll have food trucks, a lot of people there, a lot of booths and vendors. We have over 95 lifters over the course of 2 days. We have the best power lifter in the world coming. And I think the coolest part is tomorrow on the first day, we have about 35 people from the area. So people come in from all over the state, different parts of the country. But this is a relatively new sport in this area. And we've already almost filled a whole day with just local people. So.
Well, I've been to several of the events and watched the power lifters and watch them do their thing. It's really intriguing. If you've never been, go check it out. I highly recommend it. You see some really amazing things, but you also see a lot of people giving their personal best out there. And people who do this, they don't just walk in off the street, do they, Jordan?
No, they pick this date about 8 to 12 to even 16 weeks out, and they train specifically for this day. So every day they go in the gym, there's a purpose. There's training plans that they follow. Luckily, I get to facilitate a lot of these for the people from my gym, so I get to be involved, which I really enjoy doing. Everything's for this one day, and what's really cool about it is the numbers don't lie. So, there's no subjective judging. You either get it or you don't, and you either get it or you don't to the powerlifting standard. And in powerlifting, there's a squat, bench, and deadlift.
Well, I want to talk about the event, but I also want to talk about you and where this has all come from. Back pre-COVID, you were at a local gym in Port Charlotte. That's no longer there. They've switched names and moved on. But can you kind of give people the story of how you really came about and what your business model is all about?
All right. So, like you said, I was the personal training manager at another gym. It was called Around the Clock Fitness. They've since folded. During the COVID time, when they did the shutdowns, everyone shut down. That day, I decided to bring the gym to my house. I had a 3-car garage, had my own personal gym, and I pretty much told everyone, hey, business must go on, whether it's business, leisure, people just wanted something to do. Unfortunately, I know that kind of goes against some people's beliefs during the lockdown, during COVID. So, take that what you will. You might not like me for it, but sorry. Throughout the day, I kept a tally. I had an average of 60 people come to my house from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. They all had something to do during the lockdown. Just got to brag, nobody got sick, not even during the peak COVID. Everyone had fun. We had stuff to do. We lifted. We continued doing it. I will admit, I continued to run my personal training business out of my garage so I could continue to make a living. Kind of had an issue with the city of Northport code enforcement, but I'm good. So I can admit it now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and let's play a little softball here, because the truth of the matter is the data that they had before, they've made a lot of mistakes on that. And what they're proving now is is that the more people that were fit and active in doing those things, they actually didn't have as many comorbidities or chances of getting COVID. So if they had to do it all over again, I think they would analyze this whole thing a little differently now.
I mean, I don't think they'd analyze it any different. I think there's more to it than that. But no, you're right. That's what a lot of people are trying to tell people. But, people had to take that one outlier that got sick and died, or two outliers that were, active, whatever. But it's all done, I guess. Yeah. So we went back to when everything opened back up. It's funny because I went back to work at the gym, but people did not want to go back there. They really enjoyed the atmosphere at my house. So like I went and worked, I'd get home and there'd just be people working out in my house still. Wasn't charging them or anything. They're my friends. And then one night, the parent company of the gym called us on a conference call and basically said, "We're closing you guys down. Like, good luck." So the next day, I rented a spot and I moved all my stuff in there, continued to make purchases. I had my own personal powerlifting competition to compete in the next week in Chicago. I went up there 5 days early and worked from my laptop up until the meet and got everything set up, everything purchased and ready to go. Came back, moved right in there, and here we are.
And now you've, 2 years?
About a year and a half now.
Year and a half. And how many people do you figure are participating at your gym now?
I have about 205 members.
And when we talk about gym people, I want you to kind of describe what it is to be a newbie coming in to an environment like yours.
It's funny because due to the nature of the sport of powerlifting, like someone that hasn't been to an event or really doesn't know anyone in the sport, they tend to kind of classify it as like a meathead type thing. And I always joke about it. My gym's membership base is like 75% females. Females that came from a running background, like a boot camp class background. I don't know why people always say the term soccer mom, but like moms come in. And then the girls that have just been a part of the sport before. But if you go to the meet tomorrow, out of 62 lifters, more than 50% of them are females. And before, when you went to powerlifting meets, there might be 3 of them.
What do you see from the female athletes that has impressed you the most?
Females in general, I've noticed they're more disciplined than the men. When they pick a goal and they're serious about it, they show up every day. You can tell they take it much seriously. Like in powerlifting workouts, we call it accessory work, right? You do your main lift, the squat, bench, or deadlift, and you move on, and then do the rest of your accessory work. Some of that's like not as fun. It's like monotonous, and sometimes people just want to get out of the gym. If you look around, those girls do not miss accessory work. The guys, they'll go home and skip it. They'll do the main movement and go home. Not always, but it's more common. That's just one example.
You see more commitment then.
Oh yeah. Like it's funny because, like, just objectively speaking, I'm like myself. I'm like at a high level in the sport of powerlifting. I look around at these girls at the gym and I'm like, man, these girls are way more disciplined and hardworking than I am. So like they're going places.
Well, so a brand new person who comes in, kind of classified as a meathead, right? What do you tell them when they first walk in the door?
It's funny. You're talking about someone that thinks it's like a meathead gym.
Well, no, I thought you threw a term out there that I was utilizing. So a brand new person, like a brand new person coming in off the street and walking into your gym, what do they feel?
They, from what I've noticed, it's either a little bit of like intimidation because like you don't usually walk into a gym and just see a bunch of squat racks and like banners on the wall that says like can I use language on here at all, or like there's a banner like you walk in, it says don't be a pussy. So like really just kind of a joke, but if you see banners like that and just the squat racks, deadlift platforms, bars, plates everywhere, they're intimidated. And then they stick around and then realize like everyone that participates is cool. And really anybody can squat, bench, or deadlift. It doesn't have to be a certain type of like sport. Like it's just a base of strength training. And what happens is they end up trying it out and it becomes a staple in their like routine, whether they want to compete, just get in shape or anything. So, and really kind of got to brag about it. The community that has been built through the gym is huge. Like they all hang out together. They're all friends. Like you go to a standard gym, no one really talks to each other or knows each other. You go to our gym and it's just a little family and it just grows by the month.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with the questions, because if people show up to the event on Saturday, they're going to kind of feel a little bit of my gosh, excitement, along with very, very focused people in the room,
Yes,
and goal oriented.
very.
And you know, the determination of someone like that who has those three attributes, you kind of have to watch, learn, and then appreciate.
Yes.
And there's a lot to be said. You know, you've had some really good friends of yours open gyms elsewhere, and we've had Josh Wilson on
Yeah.
air a couple times and talked to him, and he's a power lifter himself, right?
Yeah, he got into it. If I remember correctly, his sister did it her first meet. He went to
Yep.
it, and he was coming from more of a bodybuilding physique show background, and like he wanted in right away. He reached out to me. We started training, and he did one. I think it was November 2018.
Well, and I'm going to talk about that just for a minute, because that camaraderie that was built there was because you guys both worked at around the clock, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've known him throughout my whole life through school, but we didn't really become friends until like we met through his sister Jenny, and then we really became good friends when it came to just the powerlifting aspect. I actually think he began powerlifting before he even worked at Around the Clock.
Well, and the whole thing with the camaraderie that you've built, that still
Mm-hmm.
goes on today, because he's opened his gym up in Sarasota, and I'm positive, I'm going to ask this question, but I'm positive the answer. Don't you guys talk about that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yep.
So when you use that term family, you really are talking about not just not in the weightlifting arena. You're talking about in every model of life, aren't you?
Oh, 100%. Like whether it's business, personal things, really anything. Like the community is so close, especially in this area. Like everyone knows each other. They all know what's going on. Like we go, like not party, like baby showers, party, like stuff like that. Like everyone just gets together and like it just becomes like a big group of friends. And even the groups of friends that have people that like don't know each other well, there's just that level of like respect and like you said, camaraderie. And everybody just bonds. It's really
It's
hard to
kind of a
explain.
cool thing.
No, it's really good. It's so like I love the sport of powerlifting. I've been doing it since 2009, and probably near the end of the road physically because a lot of training years. Probably got about 5 years left. But my favorite part of it is just the friends. I mean, the best part of my like trips to go to meets, whether I'm competing or helping out or seeing a friend compete, is like the dinner the night before. Like there's always a big group of us. We go out, they compete, we compete. That night we go somewhere else. Like I will I'm traveling to Utah in October for one day just to hang out with some friends I only see a few times a year.
That's really a cool thing, right?
Yeah, yep, it's changed my life.
So the powerlifting side of it, the powerlifting family side of it, when you talk about this meet that's coming up tomorrow, how many of your athletes are going to be participating in this?
I think I got 31. 31 out of 62. Yep. And that's like speaking for a powerlifting coach, that is crazy. Like, I am fried for a week after the fact, and I'm already fried going into it. Setting up for this stuff is hard.
Well, first, you're in charge of it. Second off, you're there as support. Third, you're also there as a coach, right?
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot going on.
What kind of pressure does that put on you to really kind of handle 3 different jobs at the same time?
So let's just start from the meet director side. I've been in the sport for 10 years, like I said, and I've been helping out at meets now for about 5. So I kind of got some on-the-job training for another federation in Florida called the USPA. Richard Fika, he owns a gym in Clearwater, Florida, Gorilla Bench Training Center. So I kind of got to work alongside of him and kind of see how he ran things. And his meets were very successful. So I kind of took what he did, added some stuff of my own, and it's been going pretty good. The actual organization part of it, it's just a lot of things to do in a timely manner. So it's really, that part's pretty easy. Where I'm very fortunate is the friends and people that are willing to help me out at any time. Like, if I didn't have those, I'd be screwed. Next door, I'm at Obi's right now, just getting some water. Next door at CrossFit Warpath through the meet is tomorrow. I got guys right now helping set up speakers, putting the banner together, unloading plates, putting together everything, getting it set up for me. I'll go back over there, help out with what I can, come back tonight, do a little more. Tomorrow morning, I'll be there at probably 5 in the morning with my mother, actually. She helps me set these things up, too. She's a big part of it. And by 7 o'clock, I'll have friends in there making sure everything's okay. I have people coming from Boynton Beach, Florida, Tampa Bay, Bonita Springs, just to help spot and load. I have people from Port St. Lucie, 3 hours away, just to judge. I got someone from Jacksonville.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a drive down just for a weekend event, right?
Yep. And really, I pay them, but like it might cover a couple meals. So like it's really like we do this because we love it. I do this as much as I can. Like I'll go, like I said earlier, I'll go anywhere in the state with some notice. I'll travel and help out. Moving on to the next aspect, you said as a coach. So with the pressure aspect, it's really not that bad. It's stressful, but I'm very confident in because luckily I get to be alongside these lifters, like watching what they do in the gym for months at a time. And I've been around enough, not to toot my own horn, but I've been around long enough to kind of call their numbers correctly. Like I'd say I get probably like a 90-95% completion rate of lifts. They consistently PR. Of course, the pressure's there on me. Like I get nervous. Like, what if I miss? What if I make the wrong call? But I think that side's really good because all those lifters, they do what they're supposed to do. I do what I'm supposed to do. We get it done.
And I want to go back to something that you talked about earlier, one with the women, but also the men, because the confidence side, do you see growth with, and I don't want to say new people all the time, but do you see growth with the younger generation now coming into the sport and learning about it, but do you see personal confidence growing with them?
Oh, yeah. I could probably sit here for an hour and just name people's names and just give like long stories. Like, I'll do a few right now. I got a girl, Lori Bemis. I might pronounce her last name wrong. She used to be at Around the Clock, and she used to get pissed off at me in boot camp. Like, I always tell this story. She like walked out on me for 4 months, and like she had kind of like a more negative personality. She'll probably hear this and like say fuck off, but now she goes to the gym all the time, never misses. One of the coolest things that I've heard from her was this past week. She basically says like, I'm going to squat 200 pounds this week. Like in the past, she'd be like kind of negative about it. Like, I can't do that. And she came up to me unsolicited, told me what she's going to do. And on top of that, she has completed something that she's had issues with in the past. She's dropped like 20 pounds of body weight for this meet. Did it the right way. Like, so she's grown as a person. She's awesome. Got another girl, Laura. She signed up for this meet last year, and she pulled out of it because she was too nervous to be in front of people. So fast forward 1 year, this is her third powerlifting meet, and in her first two, she did great. I don't think she's missed one lift. Yeah, I could just go on, but those are the two that really stick out to me.
Well, and I want to talk about growth in that side of things because I've worked out with you. I've done things in the past, and I know on a personal note, anytime that you go to the gym and you're committed and you're doing the things you need to do to achieve your goals, it spreads over into your personal life too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I'll just use myself as an example. I don't think I would be where I'm at in any facet of life without powerlifting, because that is a sport that was all, like, it's just me. Can't blame anyone else for my failures. I can't pass, or what's that term? Like pass the buck or something like that.
Pass the buck.
Yeah, like everything's on me. Like when it comes to training, you have to make sure your recovery is good, your training is good, your nutrition. If anything lacks, or you make the choice, because everything we do is a choice. So like every failure we have, like that's on us if we fail, because chances are we are not consistently doing what we're supposed to do. So you do that in powerlifting, that becomes a habit. You do that in other areas of life, whether it's like business, your place of employment, like anything you want to do, finances, you're going to be successful. Maybe not right away, but those attributes really carry over.
Well, give the information for the event. We're going to keep on with the interview, but I want people to know where your gym is and where the event is.
So my gym is 4667 East Price Boulevard, Northport, Florida. It's on the corner of Price and Atwater, and the meet is CrossFit Warpath, Port Charlotte, Florida, Kings Hwy, right in Schoolhouse Square. So there's like an Obi's next door, CrossFit, a Second Chance Fitness, another gym in town. There's a Suncoast Credit Union, a little bit of everything.
And why did you have to go to a different location to hold this event?
My facility is just under 4,000 square foot. CrossFit Warpath is probably closer to 7,000 square feet, and it's a wide open space. So like when it comes to spectators, sponsors, I can get food trucks in the parking lot, and it holds hundreds of people. I'd say at one time we probably have like 300 to 400 people, depending on the time of the day. And really, the guy who owns it's an awesome guy. Basically, just tells me, here's the place. Do what you want. Make sure you clean up, and we're good to go.
Well, there's some beauty in having that connection, because I'm sure that you can tell people about some of the places that you've been and some of the meets and the congestion that you feel. Do you feel like this is one of the better locations out there right now for powerlifting?
Can you say that one more time? The last part.
The term of the size of the facility, is that better than most powerlifting events?
Yes. So powerlifting used to start. So when I started powerlifting, they would squeeze a bunch of people into a gym my size, and it was cramped. Couldn't really hear anything. And then over time, they started getting better venues. Like they would get hotel ballrooms. They would rent out bigger gyms like I do. Where I've been at breweries. So really, the location of the meet, like I don't say it doesn't matter, as long like it matters in the sense of you want your lifters to have a good environment, have room, spectators. But what I really like is having a venue that is fitting for spectators, because the lifters, they can adapt to anything. They compete, they lift, they hang out all day, do what they need to do and compete. The spectators, they don't want to be crammed up. So like here, you got a big open space. There's a shopping plaza. We have food trucks, and we got vendors, so they can take a break and get up and walk around. You go to some old gym in an industrial warehouse type place, like there's nowhere for them to go. They're stuck. So like I'll admit, powerlifting can be like kind of boring sometimes for the spectators, because like unless you know who's lifting or if you're into it at all, like after a certain point, like you need a break. Like I've been in the sport 10 years. like I said, I need a break. Like if I'm there, I need to go walk around, go get something to eat. But yeah,
there's
long story
points in
short,
time.
make it spectator friendly.
Yeah, well, and there's points in times in an event like that where you have some key people coming in to do their personal best, and you have others at the same time.
Yeah,
Yes, they're trying to achieve their personal best, but it's not as dramatic. And those are, I think, those are the times where people kind of mix, mingle,
yeah,
but you meet a lot of really cool people there too. And
yeah.
so
So
you
this
go ahead.
weekend, yeah. So like this weekend, we have a mix of like everyone. It's really cool. Like we have many first time or second time lifters. We have people that have been in the sport like just a couple years. We have people that have been in the sport, and we even have, I mentioned this earlier, on Sunday, we have the strongest power lifter of all time coming to compete in Port Charlotte, Florida. He typically only competes in like these very big meets, Miami, California, and he's coming to mine and going to put on a show.
And a question in from one of the listeners in KDW. How often do the weightlifters have injuries?
Um, Frequently, not like serious injuries. So I like to call them nuisances. Like usually it's like a hip or lower back or shoulder, bicep tendonitis. So really, it's not stuff that really takes you out of the game. You just kind of have to manage it and rehab it well. Some people don't get any. Like I know a few people that have never like had an injury in years. Myself, I've had my fair share. I've come back from all of them. But yeah, so like it really depends on the lifter, how their training program is.
What's a
For the
rehab?
gym,
What's a rehab pro? Hold on, you kind of faded out, so I'll give you time to for the internet to catch back up. But the injuries that are out there that are occurring, uh, do you, as a coach,
mm-hmm.
do you help them work around those? Do you help them
Oh yeah,
work
I help
around
them.
those issues? Okay,
One of my
go ahead.
main goals is to help them prevent them. Every lifter has a what I call, yeah, yeah. I help them. My main goal is to help them prevent them in the first place. Because in powerlifting, a lot of like injuries, kind of, or like I said, nuisances, they're pretty common. Like usually it's like elbow, bicep, shoulder, hip. But what I like to do in my programs, I like to give people kind of like prehab drills. So it makes sure their mobility is up to par, make sure their core like activation and all that stuff is good, and get them really warm before even getting underneath the bar. Like it's of course it's not always going to work, but if someone does get hurt, we work around it. I'll just one example. Like let's say you have a shoulder injury, right? With the squat bar, you have to hold it like this. There's something called a safety squat bar. So it goes here and you hold it here. So your shoulder's out of the equation. So that's just like one example of like how we could work around like a shoulder injury and keep them benching.
So you actually keep people active even though they have the injury by working around that, correct?
Oh yeah, I had a guy with a bicep tear that still trained every day.
And
Like
how important is that for somebody who's actually trying goal oriented and wants to be part of the sport? How important is that to the athlete
I think it's
versus
pretty
maybe a 6 week layoff?
yeah. So I think it's good for them mentally. I mean, even if they're not in the sport of powerlifting, if they like to exercise, work out, and they have some kind of injury, there's always a way to get stuff done. Um, and I think when people are inactive for X amount of weeks, X amount of months, like mentally, they have a hard time going back. They feel crappy about themselves. And really, like, it sounds very cliche, but when you go to the gym and have a workout and feel bad about it afterwards, as long as you do something, you're going to feel good when you go home.
Well, and
So,
I've done that
like,
before, so I know
I
that
have a
is.
great example. There's a guy, his name's Sam. He's cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, you cut out. Tell us about Sam again.
Okay, so Sam, he just turned 70 yesterday. I've been with him for, you might even know him from around the clock. We've been together for 4 or 5 years now. Since I've met him, he's had 2 hip replacements and a knee replacement and a couple carpal tunnel surgeries. He stayed in the gym the whole time. And I've known him since 2017. And I can confidently say at 70 years old, he is moving better than he ever has since I've known him. He will spend 10 minutes on the Stairmaster at a high pace. He will push his sled with 90 pounds around my plaza building without stopping. 2 hip replacements. And all he did was moving during his rehab.
And you know, you're working with these guys who are going through. You know, Sam had 2 hip surgeries. First off, hip surgeries are much better now than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
But it's really still about the activity that you're doing and how constructive you are at it. Correct?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll just use myself as an example. Like I've had on and off back issues since 2015. The number one thing I do to feel better is get up and just go walk. Like if I have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, getting dressed, like it's not often, let's say it happens, I know that if I go out a few times during the day and take a 10, 20-minute walk, I will feel as good as new by the end of the night. And it works every time.
And really, I think most people would feel that way. The majority of us anyway,
Yeah,
that have done this in the past and kind of focused on that. Let's talk a little bit about the people who are not able to maybe get started right away and think that they're not able to do this. What would you recommend them do?
are you talking about exercise in general? Like just basic exercise?
Yeah.
That's a big mental thing. I mean, it's very hard to change that in someone because some people, as like blunt as it is to say, they just don't want to do anything. Um, so like they kind of make those barriers in their mind. Like you could use it as an example for anything. Like let's say someone wants to lose some weight, right? They're going to find every reason why they should not start their like journey until Monday. Like, oh, well, I got to go to a wedding this weekend. Like, I can't do that then, or I got to go do this. So I'll just start next week, or I'm too busy. Like, yeah, everyone's busy. Like, literally, everyone's pretty damn busy, but you got to get it done.
Do you
Like, when it
see
comes
a
down to it, you
correlation? Go ahead.
do it. You just have
Do
to
you
do
see
it. I mean,
you see a correlation between the mental side of athletes versus somebody maybe who's come off the street who wasn't an athlete who gets into the sport?
honestly, no. I really think, like, when it comes down to it, after some time, they all develop a very similar mindset. When it comes to the mental state, like everyone's their own person. So some people deal with things better than others. But I really do feel like that once they are in the sport for a while of powerlifting or even just exercise in general, they love it for their what people call mental health. So I personally, like, I don't think I really have any like mental health issues or whatever. I think I just feel basic human emotion. But from what I've heard from many people, they always tell me like the gym is my therapy. Without the gym, like my mind is not good. And I'm very glad to hear that. Like I said, I can't relate to it, but the fact that just being able to facilitate something that makes people's lives better outside of the gym, whether it's at home with their family, at work, that makes me feel good.
Well, there's definitely a lot more chemical actions going on in your brain uh, inside that gym.
Yeah,
Uh, One, you have the love of the gym and the love of the sport going on, but just the activity itself, it actually changes body chemistry a lot. And
yeah,
there's a lot of people out there that they understand exactly what we're talking about right now because when you that first week that you go to the gym and you go home sore, and you go to the second week and you know that you've got this, that's a whole different mindset that you put yourself into just getting through that one window, right?
Yeah. It's just showing yourself you can do it over and over again. Um, I think there's got to be some correlation between like being an active person, living a healthy lifestyle, whether it's like keeping up with your sleep, laying off like the alcohol, or just eating better, like nutrition in general. Because the amount of people that tell me like they've had depression issues or anxiety, and how it just gets so much better when they are like active, like I hear that all the time, for men and women. So, like, clearly there's some sort of issue going on in this world with the subject of mental health, but I'm not an expert on it, so I can't really speak on it. But, like, there's a huge correlation between it improving when you're taking care of yourself versus not.
I would agree with that. Uh, so we talked a little bit about diet, but what does a power lifter consume?
So, in an ideal world, everyone's going to have their own like methods or beliefs. But like in my opinion and experience, the bulk of a dedicated, successful powerlifter's diet is meat, rice, potatoes, eggs, fruit. Um, the main thing is just doing it consistently. Like I'll use myself as an example. I eat about 2 pounds of red meat per day. I have whole eggs every day. Um, 450 grams of carbs through fruit and rice, potatoes, and just while we're at it, all the red meat and egg people, like my cholesterol, blood work's always fine, and I'm not the only one. We can go down a big rabbit hole there with the studies and the real studies and how like the big days of red meat kills you. Like it's not like that's a whole other subject. But yeah,
Well, and I'm going to say something here real quick because you pointed it out. Some of those studies aren't talking about people who are active. A lot of those studies are about people who sit around, and so the data is a
so
little skewed that way.
there's that, and there's also the fact that a lot of these studies for like let's just use red meat as an example, they don't take into account that people that eat like a lot of red meat, let's just see via hamburger, they're eating like the French fries, all the fried foods with it. It's just something to eat with it. I mean, I really think if you did this same study on someone that ate 90% lean ground beef, grass-fed bison, just like real lean cuts of red meat and steak, and eat that every day, I highly doubt those results would be identical to how they usually do their studies. So, and there's
And
also a healthy user bias. I don't know exactly how to explain it, like word for word, but the statistics show that for America, most people that eat red meat, they also they do other unhealthy habits, smoke cigarettes, drink a lot of alcohol, their lifestyle in general. I don't know if that's like why that is, but these people that they study, like on average, they have other bad habits, and they just always point to the red meat.
well, and I'll probably put it out there as saying that your power lifters, your weight trainers, your things that people are doing, your CrossFit experts, they're in a completely different level than most people in studies. If
Yeah,
they just took an athletic group of people and
yeah,
did a study on it, that would not be fair to the common everyday person either.
yeah.
So
That's
there is some separation there between the two groups.
yeah. I mean, just on the subject of red meat again, I'll use my own mother as an example. She had weight problems on and off her whole life, um, and I can speak to it. She is one of the very few like overweight people I know that doesn't like pizza, doesn't like sweets. Like she never really ate bad, and she switched to a meat-based diet after we listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. Actually, she's like, "I want to do it for a month." So since the beginning of 2019, she's literally only eat meat, no veggies, nothing. So when you see how that correlated to her health, she lost a lot of body fat. She feels better than she ever has, and she's in her early 50s. She's told me like any anxiety issues she's had are gone. Her digestion's gone, or like better. So like she used to have very bad digestion issues. Ever since she's just had a meat-based diet and cut out all vegetables, which people will go crazy over, like her stomach health has been the best she's ever been in her life. And she did that in her 50s too. Keep that in mind.
So you've kind of got walking proof of some of this information too, right?
So much. And it's not just like I know so many people throughout the years of turning their lives around via like lifestyle changes, diet changes, lifting weights, exercising, whatever. And they all have one thing in common. They make that change and they stick to it and they just become better people for it. And better people as in like health wise.
You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 FM, and I'm interviewing Justin Wong. Just in case you're joining in for the last 15 minutes, Jordan Wong. I'm sorry, Justin. I had Justin on the mind. Jordan Wong. Smile, Jordan. So I really want to talk really about the tournament you've got going on now. I got myself messed up now that I called you Justin. So the tournament you have going on June 18th and 19th. I want you to talk about the guy who's coming in on the 19th and why that's important.
I think it is important, and I didn't mean for it to be this way. Because when you go to a powerlifting meet and like at the local level, you have a mix of your beginners, intermediates, and some good advanced people, right? At this one, you have the absolute strongest guy to ever walk on a powerlifting platform coming to Port Charlotte, Florida, alongside a bunch of new powerlifters and just putting on a show. So like I know Dan personally. I've known him since I think 2014. He's probably one of the best guys you'll ever meet, like outside of powerlifting. And he will, and a lot of powerlifters are like this, but like he's at the very, very top. He will go out of his way to help anybody that needs it. You can take your 18-year-old kid that's trying it out, timid, and he'll go over and help him out and do whatever you need. I think seeing someone at that level and someone that's not a part of the sport, seeing someone at that level and seeing the type of like respect they show to everyone and what kind of person they really are will show that like everyone in the sport, or most people in the sport at least, are in it for each other, in it for themselves, and just like to make each other better.
So I want you to talk a little bit about, and I get chills because I've been there for some of the Sunday afternoon amazing feats. I'll call them because I've seen some people lift and do their very, very best on Sunday. And I want you to describe what happens with all of the lifters who are now there for 2 days. What happens when Dan walks out there to do his how many pounds is it?
He'll probably, I just talked to him before we started this. He's aiming to squat about 1,017.
It's unbelievable. But what's going to happen when he walks out to do that? What's going to occur inside that building?
You're going to hear a lot of noise, and you're going to see a lot of cell phones in the air filming that.
And the camaraderie between everybody at that point, isn't it intense?
Oh yeah, like there's like a level of respect for pretty much any lifter, really. Like not just Dan. Like when someone's up to lift, they get their time. I mean, because we were all a part of it. We know what it takes. We know what it took to get to that point. So like everyone wants you to do good. Of course, when you got someone like Dan, because everyone knows who he is from like the internet. He's been on all these like big websites. So like even people that don't even know what powerlifting is have probably seen him somewhere on Instagram. So,
well, and what's his record right now?
I know he's totaled over 2,500 pounds. I don't know the exact number, but the total is when you add your best squat, best bench, and best deadlift up. You take those three numbers and put them together. To put that into perspective, when I started powerlifting, 2,200 was a huge deal. 2,300 was a really huge deal. You didn't see anyone doing 24, 2,500.
And today you see what?
Well, like your average, like the sport's grown so much that like if you look at the numbers from like 7, 8 years ago, like they're kind of top 20 lifts. So like it's just grown a lot. Like it really depends on the lifter, but we'll just use Dan as an example. I remember when he was breaking into the 2000s back in 2014, and now he's, like I said, actually, I'm pretty sure he hit 2,600 at one point. I want to say he did that in February 2020, 2021. I should.
2,600. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, because I've seen him squat 1,100. I've seen him bench between 589 and 606, and he deadlifted 909 2 weeks ago.
And so, how does that occur in a meet? It's not back to back to back. Obviously that's not the case. But what happens when somebody comes in like Dan, and what does he have to do in a 2-day period of time?
So actually, this is a 2-day meet just because I have so many lifters. So really, it's 2 separate meets. So like it is in one day for the specific lifter. But you go in there, and then you got the squat. So you warm up and do your squat. So you go 3 attempts, and you hit your squat, your first squat. Everyone else in your flight goes, and then you go again. And then everyone else in your flight goes, and then you go again. So you take your best out of those 3, which they increase each time, assuming that your day is going well. And then that's your best squat for the day. And then all the other flights go for squat, and then you do your bench. And then just repeat the process, and then deadlift comes, and then the meet's over.
So
really, these guys for about 6 or 7 hours.
His total, that 2,600 pound total, is actually done in one day.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy. That is, it's insane. She's putting some pictures up on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter right now. And
so that's
go ahead.
That's Dan Green, another very high level powerlifter, but his name's Dan Bell, DanBell.
Dan Bell. So, and he's on YouTube. He's on Twitter. He's on all these Instagram, I think, probably, right?
He's more so active on Instagram, but like if you Google his name, you're going to see like a giant man.
See if you can put that up there, Murray. And so it's Dan Bell. He's going to be in Port Charlotte this weekend on Sunday. Would you encourage people to come out and just check him out?
Yeah, 100%. Like if your average person, if you go to one of these events and you see someone squatting 500 or 600 pounds, you're in awe. Now double that number. Like it's crazy. Like I've been around the biggest lifts in the world, like pretty much at all times throughout the year because I'm at all these meets. And every time I watch him, I just say, holy shit, like how does that actually happen?
Well, some of the things I've seen, I just walk away going, I can't believe I saw it. Thank goodness I was actually one of those guys who actually had the phone in the air filming it, because the end result is you're watching it, you can't believe it, and then you want to rewatch it because you really can't believe what you saw the first time.
Yep. Yeah, there he is.
So he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Now, is he from Florida?
He originally comes from Iowa, but he now resides in...
What's up, everybody? Phil Bleckman with Barbend.com. And today, you're 179 kilos or 2,600 pounds and 79 kilos or 2,600.
She's gonna stop that video, but you can watch that. You had the number right. That's 2,600 pounds.
Yeah.
And they show the whole thing, and look at the bar. How the bar, it's unbelievable how the bar bends, and it comes back. Have you ever used a bar that's been bent so bad that they've had to replace it?
No, they make pretty good quality bars. powerlifting bars are very well done. I mean, that's why they're so expensive. I mean, my gym has every barbell costs at least $500 just so they last. Um, like, yeah, like I have a guy that comes to my gym and trains for meets. He lives in Dallas Park, squats 1,000 pounds on a routine basis. Bar's fine.
And so you do have to maintain a good equipment. You have to you have to buy the best, right?
You do. I mean, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and so there's no just like in workouts, if you shortcut on your equipment, you may cause some issues later down the road too, as far as the safety thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we've got about 4 minutes left on the show, and I want you to talk about the tournament some more. Tell people what to expect, what they should do when they show up. Just give them the lay of the land.
Yeah, so if you want to go, definitely check it out. The information is, I'm assuming it's posted somewhere through here, but I'll just reiterate one more time. CrossFit Warpath, Schoolhouse Square, Port Charlotte, Florida. It's off Kings Hwy and 41. You just get here, walk in. You're going to walk in, see a bunch of chairs, grab a chair, go get some food. We'll have a taco truck and Italian ice outside from Rita's and Caesar's Tacos. Lots of vendors. And just enjoy the day. I mean, the best thing to do is go to one of these things and just sit next to someone that's been at one of them before and just ask them questions, and you'll learn all about it, and you'll really just catch on pretty quick. And just to kind of toot some of my lifters' own horns, I mean, female powerlifting is huge now. So, like, I kind of hinted at it before. You used to see 1 or 2, 3 lifters that were girls. Now you got half a meet. I threw a meet in December called Queen of the Platform. I had 55 females. So, like, we can make whole days out of just them now. And before, when I was saying, like, the average person watches someone squat 400 or 500 pounds and they're like in awe, girls are doing that now. It's not uncommon to see a 132-pound female deadlift 350 pounds, 400 pounds. I got a girl from my gym named Tiffany. She's 132. She started from a boot camp background. She now pulls 160 or 360. I have a 21-year-old girl that weighs 105. She deadlifts 300 pounds. So when you see that stuff, like, it's amazing. I mean, it's hard to put into words until you actually see it, and you can really see what the body can do, and you can really tell, like, anyone can do it.
So I'm gonna ask Carrie. She's sitting over here, but 105-pound female lifting deadlifting?
Yep.
Deadlifting 300 pounds. Can you believe that? She doesn't believe it.
She started at my house, and I remember her not being able to deadlift 175 pounds. She was always scared of it. She broke that barrier and hit 200 one day, and we've been all uphill since.
Listen, I'm first off, I got to tell you, I'm overjoyed for you. I'm proud of you. You took the bull by the horns when a lot of people looked to be very desperate, and really, I'm just overjoyed for you. I can't even talk any more highly than I do of you because of everything that you've done and the commitment that you have, not just to yourself and your family, but the family that you've built inside your gym. That to me, that's amazing.
Thank you. All it took is just doing what I wanted to do. Don't listen.
And hitting your goals.
Yep.
Well, buddy, I appreciate your time. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope we can do this soon. And maybe we can get some updates in the next week or so, real quick, about how the meet went.
Yeah, we can do a recap. Just let me know, and I'll come on.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. This is John Rawlings with WKDW saying thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye now.
Bye, man.